The supply closet smells like bleach and fear. My hand grips the doorframe so hard my knuckles have gone white. Through the crack in the door, I watch my son walk down the hospital corridor. He's laughing, actually laughing, his phone pressed to his ear, his expensive suit perfectly pressed, his stride confident and strong. No, baby, the meeting went perfect, Darnell says, his voice carrying clear across the hallway. Robertson signed everything. We're looking at a $2 million commission. My legs buckle. I grab the metal shelf beside me to keep from hitting the floor. There's no blood on him, no bandages, no IV pole trailing behind him, no wheelchair, no nurse supporting his weight, nothing. Hi, viewers, kindly tell us where you're watching from and what time it is. The hospital called me 90 minutes ago. Mrs. Whitmore, your son has been in a terrible accident. You need to come immediately. He's being prepped for emergency surgery. Emergency surgery. I'd run out of my house without my coat. Begged my neighbor for gas money. My hands shook so bad I could barely grip the steering wheel. The whole drive here, I kept seeing him as a little boy, 6 years old, gap-toothed, running into my arms after his first day of school. My baby. My only child. The son I'd raised alone after his father walked out on us. And now here he stands. Perfectly healthy. Laughing about business deals while I hide in a storage closet, my cancer-ravaged body trembling with something I can't even name yet. Behind him, heels click against the polished floor, sharp, precise, expensive, Sienna. My daughter-in-law appears around the corner, her designer handbag swinging from her shoulder. She reaches Darnell, stands on her toes, kisses his cheek. Her lips barely touch his skin, a performance, not affection. How did she sound? Sienna asks. My stomach drops through the floor. Frantic. Darnell grins. That's my son's smile. I'd know it anywhere. I'd kissed those cheeks 1,000 times, wiped away his tears, celebrated every victory. Hook, line, and sinker. Sienna's laugh is soft, satisfied. Perfect. Give it another hour, then call her back. Tell her there were complications. That you didn't make it. The world tilts sideways. Once she's properly devastated, Sienna continues, examining her manicured nails. We mention the life insurance policy, the one she signed when she worked at the country club. That names you as sole beneficiary. Life insurance policy. The words echo in my skull. I'd forgotten about that. Signed it 25 years ago when Darnell was just 3 years old. The country club required it for all employees. Worth maybe $50,000 now, $50,000. She's dying anyway, Darnell says. My son, my baby boy, speaking about my death like he's discussing the weather forecast. This just speeds up the inevitable, and 50 grand will cover the down payment on the lake house. My vision blurs. I blink hard, trying to clear it. You're brilliant, Sienna purrs. She links her arm through his. This fake emergency will push her over the edge. The stress, the running here, the emotional devastation when she thinks you're dead. Her heart won't take it. Natural causes, clean and simple. They start walking away. Already spending money they'll collect from my corpse. Their voices fade down the corridor. Darnell says something about granite countertops. Sienna laughs again. A hand touches my shoulder. I nearly scream. Ma'am! It's the young nurse, the one who pulled me into this closet 5 minutes ago. Tears stream down her face. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I can't speak. Can't breathe. Can't process what I just heard. My son tried to kill me. Not with a gun or poison. With grief. With the calculated cruelty of making me believe I'd lost the only thing I ever truly loved. For a lake house down payment. The nurse presses something small and cold into my palm. I recorded their conversation. Everything, just in case you need proof. I look down. A small recording device sits in my shaking hand. Why? I finally whisper. Why help me? Because I have a mother too. Her voice cracks, and she deserves better than this. You deserve better than this. I stand there holding that device, feeling something cold and dark bloom in my chest where love used to live. They thought they were clever, thought they'd orchestrated the perfect crime. But they made one critical mistake. They underestimated me. I've spent my entire life fighting poverty, fighting loneliness, fighting a world that tried to grind women like me into dust. I raised a son alone, built something from nothing, survived things that would have broken stronger people. And now I'm fighting cancer. Did they really think I'd just lie down and die for their convenience? The nurse, her name tag says Reina Vasquez, squeezes my hand. What do you need? How can I help? I look at that recording device, then at her tear-stained face, then back toward the hallway where my son just disappeared. Help me figure out how to stay alive, I say. My voice doesn't shake anymore. And make them regret every second of this. Because I'm not dying today. Not for their lake house. Not for their comfort. Not to make their lives easier. I'm going to live. And when I'm done, they're going to wish they'd never made that phone call. 3 hours earlier, I'd been sitting at my kitchen table trying to decide between buying my cancer medication or paying the electric bill. The bottle of pills sat in front of me. $37 at the discount pharmacy. The disconnect notice from the power company warned final cutoff in 48 hours. $42 past due. I had $63.18 to my name. The math was simple. Brutal. But simple. Heat or healing. Light or life. I'd chosen the pills. Decided I could manage with candles for a few days, maybe sweet-talk the power company into an extension. I'd gotten good at sweet-talking bill collectors over the past 4 months. Ever since the cancer diagnosis. Ever since the diner let me go. The phone rang while I was counting out exact change. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Bill collectors don't usually call on Saturday afternoons, but you never know. Mrs. Whitmore? A woman's voice. Professional. Urgent. This is Mercy General Hospital. Your son Darnell has been in a serious accident. You need to come immediately. The pill bottle slipped from my fingers. Orange capsules scattered across the linoleum floor like fallen leaves. What? What happened? He's alive, but critical. They're prepping him for emergency surgery. How quickly can you get here? I don't have a car. I sold it. But I can... Mrs. Whitmore, please hurry. He's asking for you. The line went dead. He's asking for you. Those 4 words moved my body before my brain could catch up. I grabbed my thin jacket, the one with the broken zipper, and ran outside. My neighbor, Mrs. Chen, was watering her roses. Mrs. Chen, I stumbled down my porch steps. Please, I need help. My son, hospital. I need to get to Mercy General. She took one look at my face and dropped the hose. 23 minutes later, I burst through the hospital's glass doors. Rain had started falling during the drive. My clothes stuck to my skin. My hair hung in wet strings. I left puddles on their polished floor. Darnell Whitmore, I gasped at the reception desk. My son, accident, surgery. The receptionist typed on her computer. Her face showed nothing. 3rd floor, intensive care unit, room 347. I ran for the elevators. Other people stood waiting, but I couldn't stand still. My feet moved in small circles. My hands clenched and unclenched. The numbers above the elevator doors climbed so slowly I wanted to scream. 2nd floor, 3rd floor. The doors slid open. The ICU stretched before me. White walls, white floors, white ceiling, everything bleached of color, of life. Machines beeped their steady rhythms. Nurses moved like ghosts in their soft shoes. Room 347, I said to the nurse at the station. Darnell Whitmore. They said surgery. I need to see him before... Down that hall. She pointed without looking up from her charts. But ma'am, you should... I didn't wait. Couldn't wait. My legs carried me forward, past rooms with closed doors, past families crying in waiting areas, past doctors reviewing charts on tablets. Room 347. The door stood slightly open. I reached for the handle. My hand trembled so hard I had to try twice to grip it. Ma'am? A voice, urgent, low, right beside me. I turned. A young nurse with kind eyes stood there, her hand suddenly on my arm. Her grip was tight, almost painful. Ma'am, wait. My son, I said, I need to see my son. Her eyes darted down the hallway, then back to me. Something in her expression made my blood run cold. Quick, ma'am. She pulled me toward a supply closet across the hall. Hide. What? I don't understand. Please, her voice cracked. Real fear, genuine terror. Trust me, hide, watch. You need to see this. The urgency in her tone penetrated my panic. I let her guide me into the closet. She positioned me behind the door, leaving it open just a crack. Just enough to see room 347. 10 minutes, she whispered. Wait 10 minutes. You'll understand everything. Then she was gone, hurrying back down the hallway like our conversation never happened. I stood in that dark closet. The smell of bleach burned my nose. Clean linens pressed against my back. My heart hammered so hard I thought it might burst through my ribs. 5 minutes passed. 7. My legs ached. Every instinct screamed at me to burst into that room to hold my injured son, but something in that nurse's eyes kept me frozen. So I waited, and that's when the door to room 347 opened, and I watched my perfectly healthy son walk out, laughing about a $2 million commission, while my whole world shattered into pieces I'd never be able to put back together. I met Darnell's father at the county fair when I was 19 years old. Jackson Whitmore had a smile that could light up the dark and promises that sounded like poetry. We got married 6 months later. I wore a white dress from the discount rack and carried daisies from my mother's garden. Darnell was born 11 months after that. 7 pounds, 3 ounces, 10 tiny fingers, 10 tiny toes, eyes that looked up at me like I was his whole universe. For 6 years, we were a family. Jackson worked construction. I cleaned houses. We lived in a small rental with a leaky roof and a yard full of dandelions. But we were happy, or I thought we were. Then Jackson met someone else, a woman from his job site, someone younger, prettier, without stretch marks or exhaustion. He left on a Tuesday morning, took his clothes and his toolbox and never looked back. Darnell cried for his daddy every night for 3 months. I got a second job, then a third, mornings cleaning houses, afternoons at the diner, weekends at the country club, polishing silver and scrubbing toilets for people who wouldn't make eye contact with me. I wore the same 3 dresses for 5 years, rotated them carefully so the fraying wouldn't show. My shoes had holes in the soles. I stuffed them with cardboard and kept walking. But Darnell had new shoes every fall, hot meals every night, his own bedroom with a desk for homework. I checked his assignments, attended every parent-teacher conference, sat in the front row at his school plays, even when my shift at the diner started in 30 minutes. Your mama loves you, I told him every single night as I tucked him in. You're going to do amazing things. You're going to have a better life than this. And he believed me. God, he believed me. Darnell studied. He worked. He dreamed. While other kids played video games, he stayed up late with library books. While other teenagers got in trouble, he joined the science club, the math team, the debate society. His senior year, the acceptance letter came. Full scholarship to State University, pre-med program. I held that letter and cried so hard I couldn't see the words anymore. My baby, my boy, going to college, going to become a doctor. We did it, Ma, he said, hugging me tight. We actually did it. We, not I, we. That word meant everything. Medical school was harder. The scholarship covered tuition, but not books, not housing, not food. I picked up more shifts, worked 70, 80 hours a week. My back hurt all the time. My hands got rough and cracked from chemicals. But every time I wanted to collapse, I pictured Darnell in his white coat. Dr. Darnell Whitmore. My son, the doctor. Graduation day, I sat in that auditorium wearing a dress I'd bought special from the thrift store. Still the nicest thing I owned. I watched my son walk across that stage, accept his diploma, shake the dean's hand. He found me in the crowd afterward, pushed through hundreds of people to reach me, hugged me so tight I could barely breathe. Thank you, Ma, he whispered in my ear, for everything, for all of it. I couldn't have done this without you. I'm so proud of you, baby, I said. So proud. That was the happiest day of my life. 3 months later, he met Sienna Blackwell at a hospital fundraiser. She was there with her father, Richard Blackwell, who owned half the commercial real estate downtown. Sienna wore a dress that probably cost more than I made in 6 months. Darnell called me that night, excited. Ma, I met someone. She's incredible. Smart, beautiful, ambitious. I think she might be the one. The one. I should have been happy. My son deserved love, deserved someone who saw how special he was. But something in his voice made my stomach twist. 2 weeks later, he brought her to my house for Sunday dinner. I'd cleaned for 3 days straight, cooked all his favorite foods, wore my nicest dress. Sienna walked in wearing heels that clicked against my worn linoleum. She looked around my small living room like she was touring a museum of poverty. Her eyes lingered on the mismatched furniture, the patched curtains, the ancient television. "Mother Cordelia," she said, her smile perfect and empty. "How quaint. Darnell has told me so much about this place." This place. Like my home was a curiosity, an artifact. She barely touched her food, asked if I'd made everything from scratch in a tone that suggested scratch cooking was somehow quaint, mentioned that her family's chef prepared all their meals. "You still work at the diner, don't you?" she asked, cutting her chicken into precise tiny pieces. "And the country club? How admirably hardworking. Most people your age have retired." "Can't afford to retire," I said, trying to smile. But I don't mind. Keeps me busy." "Of course." Sienna's eyes swept over me. "Darnell mentioned you refuse his financial help. So incredibly proud." The way she said proud made it sound like a character flaw, like stubborn foolishness instead of dignity. Darnell sat between us, oblivious. Or maybe not oblivious. Maybe already choosing sides. After dinner, while I washed dishes, I heard them on the porch. "She's lovely," Sienna said. "So authentic. So real. It's like stepping back in time, isn't it? Seeing where you came from." Where you came from. Past tense, as if Darnell had already left me behind. The wedding happened fast. 6 months from meeting to marriage. Darnell called it knowing when you know. I called it rushed, but nobody asked my opinion. The ceremony took place at the Blackwell estate, tents on the lawn. String quartet, ice sculptures, 300 guests and designer everything. I sat in the back row wearing my thrift store dress while Sienna's family filled the first 10 rows. "You look lovely, Mrs. Whitmore," Sienna had said before walking down the aisle. Her eyes cataloged every bargain stitch. "How kind of you to come." Kind of me to come. To my own son's wedding. That should have been my first real warning. But I smiled and nodded and took my seat in the back, where mothers like me belonged. After the wedding, the phone calls got shorter. Sunday dinners disappeared. "Sienna thinks we should establish our own family traditions," Darnell explained. "You understand, right, Ma?" I understood that I was being erased. Holidays came and went. Birthdays passed unmarked. I'd call and get voicemail. I'd text and get brief responses hours later. "Busy with work?" "Sienna's not feeling well." "We'll catch up soon." Soon never came. I'd see them sometimes in the society pages. Darnell in a tuxedo, Sienna in glittering gowns. Both of them smiling at charity galas. Living a life I couldn't even imagine. My son was 20 minutes away, alive and well, and I might as well have been invisible. Then came the cough. Small at first, just a tickle that wouldn't go away. Then the exhaustion, then the weight loss, then the blood. The doctor at the free clinic held my hand when she delivered the news. "Stage 3 lung cancer. I'm so sorry, Cordelia." Cancer. The word felt like a boulder crushing my chest. I didn't tell Darnell. We barely spoke anyway. And when we did, Sienna was always there, always listening, always controlling. Besides, I still had fight in me. I wasn't ready to give up. The treatment started. Chemotherapy that made me vomit for hours. Radiation that burned my skin. Hair falling out in clumps. 40 pounds melting off my already thin frame. The diner let me go. "Can't have someone who might collapse mid-shift," the manager said, not quite meeting my eyes. "I'm sure you understand." I understood. I also understood that my last paycheck wouldn't cover next month's rent. I sold my furniture piece by piece. The couch went first, then the kitchen table, then my bed. I slept on the floor with blankets, ate one meal a day, chose between medication and electricity. The bills piled up anyway. Medical bills, overdue notices, final warnings. 4 months into treatment, I called Darnell. It took 3 tries before he answered. Ma, everything okay? I'm kind of in the middle of something. Baby, I need help. My voice cracked. I hadn't meant for it to crack. I'm sick, real sick. The bills, I don't know what to do. Silence, then rustling. Sienna's voice in the background. Who is it? Ma, we've talked about this. Darnell's tone changed, became distant, cold. You know our financial situation. I have cancer. The words came out barely above a whisper. More silence. Long and cold as winter. Then Sienna's voice, sharp and clear. She must have grabbed the phone. Mother Cordelia, we've discussed this before. Darnell and I have financial obligations. The new house, my charity commitments. We simply cannot enable unhealthy dependency patterns. I'm dying, I said. I just need... We'll send you information on some excellent state assistance programs, Sienna interrupted. Resources for low-income seniors. Darnell really must go. He has surgery in 20 minutes. The line went dead. I sat there holding that silent phone. Outside, the sun was shining. Birds were singing. The world kept turning like nothing had changed. But something inside me had cracked. Something fundamental and irreparable. My son had chosen a woman over his mother, chosen a lifestyle over love, chosen comfort over compassion. And I was alone, truly, completely alone. I put the phone down carefully, looked around my nearly empty house, at the peeling wallpaper, at the water stain on the ceiling, at the boxes of belongings I'd have to sell next. Then I cried, not gentle tears, not quiet sadness, but the kind of crying that comes from somewhere deep and primal. The kind that shakes your whole body, and the kind that feels like it might tear you apart. I cried for the baby boy who'd needed me, for the teenager who'd hugged me tight after graduation, for the man who'd whispered "thank you for everything" in my ear. I cried for all the versions of my son who'd died the moment he'd chosen Sienna. And when I was done crying, I made a decision. If I was going to die, it would be on my terms, not begging, not broken, not reduced to nothing. I'd face this cancer with whatever dignity I had left. 4 months later, that phone call came. The hospital, the accident, the surgery, and despite everything, despite the rejection, the abandonment, the casual cruelty, I'd run to him. Because that's what mothers do. That's what love does, even when it's not returned, even when it's weaponized, even when it kills you. I'm still in the supply closet when Raina comes back. She slips inside and closes the door most of the way. Her face is pale. They're gone, she whispers. Left the hospital 10 minutes ago. Tell me everything, I say. My voice sounds strange, flat, like all the emotion has been burned out of it. How did you know? Raina sinks against the wall, her hands shake. I was at the nurses' station about 2 hours ago. They came in together, Darnell and Sienna. I heard them talking to the floor manager. What did they say? Darnell said his mother was elderly and sick, that she had a heart condition, that if she got stressed enough, it might trigger a cardiac event. Raina's eyes fill with tears again. He asked if they could use an empty room for a few hours. Said you'd been harassing them for money, that they wanted to teach you a lesson about consequences. My jaw clenches so hard my teeth hurt. The floor manager should have said no, Raina continues, should have kicked them out. But Darnell's a surgeon here. He has privileges. He made it sound like a family intervention, like tough love. So they just gave him a room. Room 347, empty, scheduled for cleaning tomorrow. They told him 2 hours maximum. Raina wipes her eyes. I didn't think much of it at first. Then I heard them planning at the desk. They thought I was in the supply room. I heard everything. What exactly did you hear? Raina pulls out her phone, opens a recording app, presses play. Sienna's voice fills the small closet, crystal clear. Once she thinks you're dead, the stress will trigger a heart attack or stroke. She's already weak from the cancer. This will push her over the edge. Natural causes, no investigation. Darnell's laugh. $50,000 for a fake phone call. Not bad for an afternoon's work. The lake house will be perfect, Sienna says. Right on the water. We'll throw amazing parties. Your mother's little life insurance policy finally serving a purpose. My hands curl into fists. That's when I started recording, Raina says. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. A doctor, planning to kill his own mother. I recorded everything. Then I waited for you. Why didn't you just call the police? And tell them what? That a respected surgeon and his wife were in an empty hospital room? That I overheard them talking about their mother's life insurance? Raina shakes her head. They'd talk their way out of it. Make me look crazy. Get me fired. And you'd still be in danger. She's right. I know she's right. But now you have proof, Raina says, holding up the recording device she gave me. Everything they said in the hallway, and I have proof of them planning it at the desk. Together, it's enough. I look at the small device in my palm, at this young woman who risked everything to save a stranger. Why? I ask again. Why help me? Raina is quiet for a moment. Then she says, my mother raised me alone. My father left when I was 2. She worked 3 jobs to put me through nursing school. She went without so I could have. Her voice cracks. She died 6 months ago, breast cancer. I was with her at the end, holding her hand. She told me she was proud of me. That everything she'd sacrificed was worth it. Raina looks at me directly. When I heard what they were planning to do to you, all I could think was, what if someone had tried this with my mother? What if she'd died thinking I didn't love her? I reach out and squeeze her hand. You remind me of her, Raina whispers. Strong, stubborn, still fighting even when the world's beaten you down. She would have done what you did. Run to the hospital despite everything. Because that's what mothers do. We stand there in that closet, 2 women connected by love for mothers who sacrificed everything. What do you want to do? Raina finally asks. We could go to the police right now. With these recordings? No. The word comes out sharp, clear. Not yet. What do you mean? I think about Darnell walking away, already spending money from my death. I think about Sienna's cold calculation. I think about 4 months of calling for help and getting nothing but cruelty. They wanted to scare me to death, I say slowly. They wanted to weaponize my love for my son. Turn it into a murder weapon. Yes. Then let's give them what they want. I look at Raina. Or at least let them think they're getting it. Understanding dawns on her face. You want to fake your death. I want them to think their plan worked. The idea takes shape as I speak. I want them comfortable, confident, celebrating their victory. And then I want to destroy them. Raina's eyes widen, then a slow smile spreads across her face. I can help with that. You'd risk your job, your career? For this? Raina laughs, but it's not a happy sound. Watching someone try to murder their mother for money? Getting justice for women like my mom who gave everything? Yes. I'd risk it all. I look at this young woman, this stranger who became an angel. Tell me what you need, Raina says. And for the first time in 4 months, I feel something other than despair. I feel power. Raina moves fast. Within 20 minutes, I'm in a real hospital bed in the emergency department. Different floor, different wing, far from room 347. Tell them exactly what happened, Raina instructs. The fake call, the rush to get here, the stress, the chest pain. What chest pain? The chest pain you're about to have. She hands me a small device. Heart rate monitor. I'm going to make you anxious, really anxious. Your heart rate will spike. That's real. That's documented. Everything else follows. She's thought of everything. A doctor comes in. Marcus Chen, according to his badge. He's older, kind-faced. Raina must have chosen him carefully. Mrs. Whitmore, I understand you've had quite a scare, he says gently. Can you tell me what happened? I tell him. All of it, the phone call, the accident that never happened, racing to the hospital, the empty room. My voice shakes. I don't have to fake that part. And you have stage 3 cancer? Dr. Chen asks, reviewing my chart. Yes, lung cancer. I'm in treatment. He nods slowly. The stress of today, combined with your compromised immune system and the physical exertion of getting here. Mrs. Whitmore, you're in real danger. Your heart rate is elevated. Your blood pressure is critical. We need to admit you for observation. Perfect. My son, I whisper. I need to know if he's okay. Dr. Chen glances at Raina. Something passes between them. Let me make some calls, he says. We'll find out about your son. Right now I need you to rest, he leaves. Raina stays. Dr. Chen lost his mother to elder abuse, she says quietly. Financial exploitation by her caregiver. He's been waiting for a chance to nail someone for this kind of thing. You told him? Everything. He listened to the recordings. He's on our side. Raina checks my IV line. Now we wait. Your son and his wife will get a call soon. Very official. Very serious. Mrs. Cordelia Whitmore, admitted to emergency department with cardiac symptoms. Critical condition. Will they come? They'll have to. They're still playing the concerned family. Raina smiles grimly. They need to be here when you die. Witnesses, grief, performance. My stomach twists. And then we let them think they won. Let them celebrate. Let them make mistakes. Raina leans closer. And when they're confident enough to start spending that insurance money, that's when we spring the trap. A nurse appears in the doorway. Dr. Chen says the family has been notified. They're on their way. Raina squeezes my hand. Remember, you're weak, confused. Don't engage. Let them think you're already half gone. She disappears behind a curtain but stays in the room, watching, recording. 15 minutes later, I hear them. Sienna's heels clicking down the corridor, Darnell's voice asking questions. They enter my room. Darnell's face is arranged in concern. Sienna's hand clutches his arm. They look like a devoted couple, like a loving son and worried daughter-in-law. Ma, Darnell says, rushing to my bedside, What happened? The hospital called. They said cardiac symptoms. I look at my son, at the face I'd kissed goodnight for 18 years, at the man who'd hugged me at his graduation, at the stranger who'd tried to kill me. Darnell, I whisper. My voice comes out thin, weak. You're okay. The hospital said accident, surgery. What? Ma, no, I'm fine. I don't know what you're talking about. His confusion looks genuine. He's good at this. There was no accident. But they called. Said emergency surgery. Said to come immediately. Darnell and Sienna exchange glances. Sienna's lips pressed together. Mother Cordelia, perhaps in your condition, you misheard or misunderstood. No, they said, I let my voice trail off, let my eyes lose focus. Ma, you need to rest. Darnell pats my hand. The touch feels rehearsed. You've been under a lot of stress. The cancer, the treatments. Maybe you imagine. I didn't imagine it. But I say it weakly, like I'm doubting myself. Dr. Chen enters. His face is grave. Mr. Whitmore? Mrs. Whitmore? Could I speak with you outside? They follow him into the corridor. I can hear their voices through the thin curtain. Raina has positioned herself where she can record everything. Your mother's condition is critical, Dr. Chen says. The stress event she experienced today, whatever it was, has compromised her already weakened heart. Combined with her cancer, her prognosis is poor. How poor? Sienna asks. Her voice is steady, calm. Days? Maybe a week? Silence. Then Darnell asks, is she in pain? We're managing it. That's good. That's important. Another pause. Doctor, I need to ask, if my mother passes, are there any complications with the death certificate? My blood turns to ice. Complications? Dr. Chen sounds confused. Legal complications. Questions about cause of death. Dr. Chen's voice goes cold. Mr. Whitmore, are you asking me to falsify medical records? No, of course not. I just meant... Darnell stumbles over his words. My mother has a life insurance policy. I'm the beneficiary. I wanted to make sure there wouldn't be issues with the claim, natural causes versus, I don't know, anything that might complicate things. Your mother is dying of cancer and cardiac failure, Dr. Chen says flatly. Natural causes. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have other patients. He walks away, footsteps echoing. Sienna and Darnell stay in the hallway. Their voices drop to whispers, but Raina's phone picks up every word. It worked, Sienna breathes. It actually worked. She'll be dead in a week. The insurance claim will take a month to process. We can close on the lake house by spring. Sienna laughs softly. I can't believe it was this easy. $50,000 for a phone call, Darnell says. Best return on investment ever. They come back into my room, arrange their faces into sadness. Ma, we're here, Darnell says. We'll stay as long as you need. But his eyes are already distant, already calculating. They stay for exactly 17 minutes. Long enough to look dutiful. Short enough to avoid actual conversation. We'll be back tomorrow, Sienna promises. She's already backing toward the door. Get some rest, Mother Cordelia. They leave. The moment they're gone, Raina emerges from behind the curtain. Her face is white with rage. I got everything, she says. Every word. Dr. Chen returns. I've never seen anything like this. A doctor, planning his mother's murder, using medical knowledge as a weapon. What happens now, I ask. Now we document everything, Dr. Chen says. Keep you here for observation. Let them think they're winning. Meanwhile, we build an airtight case. I nod. But part of me wants to run after them, wants to scream, wants to grab my son by his expensive collar and ask him when exactly he stopped being human. Instead, I lie in this hospital bed and let them think I'm dying because the best revenge isn't hot, it's ice cold. And I'm going to make sure they feel every degree. 3 days pass. Darnell and Sienna visit every afternoon. They bring flowers. They speak in gentle voices. They ask about my comfort. And every single time, they ask the nurses about my prognosis. How much longer? Sienna asks on day 2. She phrases it carefully. We just want to prepare ourselves emotionally. The nurse, one of Raina's friends, consults my chart. Difficult to say. Could be days, could be longer. I watch Sienna's jaw tighten. She wants this over. Wants to move forward with her life. With her lake house. With her blood money. On day 3, Darnell asks Dr. Chen directly, should we be thinking about arrangements? Funeral preparations? Dr. Chen gives him a long, cold look. Your mother is still alive, Mr. Whitmore. Let's focus on that. But the question hangs in the air like poison. That night, Raina brings me new recordings. She's been monitoring their conversations in the hallway, in the parking lot, anywhere they think they're alone. Listen to this one, she says, pressing play. Sienna's voice. I found the perfect furniture for the lake house. Italian leather sectional. $12,000. We can order it once the insurance money comes through. Darnell. $12,000? That's a quarter of the whole payout. Sienna. Think of it as an investment. When we host parties there, we need everything to look perfect. Besides, it's not like your mother needs the money anymore. Laughter. They're laughing about furniture they'll buy with my death benefit. There's more, Raina says. She plays another recording. Darnell. My colleague asked how my mother was doing. I had to pretend to be devastated. It's exhausting. Sienna. Just a few more days, baby. Then we can stop pretending. Tell everyone she passed peacefully. Accept the condolences. Cash the check. I listen to my son discuss my death like it's a minor inconvenience, a performance he has to endure before collecting his prize. We have enough, Dr. Chen says. He's been meeting with lawyers, with police detectives. Conspiracy to commit murder, insurance fraud, elder abuse. They're looking at serious prison time. When do we move? I ask. Soon. We're coordinating with the district attorney's office. They want to catch them in the act of filing the insurance claim, proof of intent. I nod, but something in me is breaking. Not the clean break of sudden shock, the slow, grinding break of realizing your child, the baby you carried, the boy you raised, the man you believed in, is a monster. That night, I write a letter, not to Darnell, not anymore, but to the boy he used to be. The 6-year-old who cried for his daddy, the teenager who promised to make me proud, the medical student who said, "We did it, Ma." I write to the son I lost somewhere along the way, the one who got swallowed by ambition and greed, and a woman who taught him that love is weakness and mothers are disposable. I write it all down. The pride, the sacrifice, the love, the heartbreak. And then I seal it. Because some letters aren't meant to be sent. They're meant to be proof that once upon a time, before everything went wrong, something beautiful existed. On day 5, everything changes. Sienna comes alone. Darnell is in surgery, real surgery this time, she explains. She sits in the chair beside my bed, her designer handbag in her lap. Mother Cordelia, she says. Her voice is different, harder. I think we should talk. About what? About reality. She leans forward. You're dying. We both know it. The cancer is eating you alive. You have no money, no insurance. It's nothing. When you die, what exactly do you think happens? I don't answer. The county pays for a cremation. No funeral, no headstone. You get scattered in some municipal garden with all the other poor people nobody claims. Her eyes are cold. Is that really how you want to be remembered? Cordelia Whitmore, charity case. My hands clench under the blanket. But if you cooperate with us, if you make this easy, we'll give you a proper funeral, a nice casket, a headstone with your name, your son the doctor paying for everything, looking like the devoted child. Sienna smiles. All you have to do is stop fighting. Let go. Let nature take its course. You want me to hurry up and die. I want you to be realistic. You're in pain. You're suffering. Wouldn't it be kinder to just slip away peacefully? We'll make sure you're remembered properly. I look at this woman, this stranger who married my son and poisoned everything she touched. No, I say. No? I'm not dying for your convenience, not for your lake house, not for your Italian leather sectional, not for anything. Sienna's face hardens. You don't have a choice. The cancer is killing you anyway. Maybe, but I'm not going to make it easy for you. She stands abruptly. You're being selfish. Think about Darnell. Think about what's best for your son. I did think about Darnell for 28 years. Every single day. Every sacrifice, every choice. I thought about my son first. Always. My voice rises. And you know what I got for it? A fake hospital emergency designed to scare me to death. A son who discusses my funeral like it's a real estate transaction. A daughter-in-law who just asked me to hurry up and die so you can buy furniture. Sienna's composure cracks. You're a bitter old woman who can't accept that your son outgrew you. My son didn't outgrow me. You erased me, systematically, deliberately. You saw how much he loved me and you couldn't stand it. He loves me more. He doesn't love you, I say. He's terrified of you. I see it in his eyes every time he visits. That's not love, that's control. Sienna grabs her handbag. Enjoy your last few days, Mother Cordelia. I hope they're worth it. Because when you're gone, nobody will remember you. Nobody will care. You'll be nothing but a signature on an insurance payout. She storms out. Raina emerges from the bathroom. She'd been hiding there, recording everything. Did you get it? I ask. Every word. Raina's hands shake as she stops the recording. She just confessed, asked you to die faster, talked about the insurance money. This is over. We have them. Dr. Chen appears in the doorway. I heard shouting. What happened? We tell him. He listens to the recording. His face goes from shocked to furious. I'm calling the police. Now. This has gone far enough. Wait, I say. One more day. Let them file the insurance claim. Let them take the final step. Mrs. Whitmore, that woman just threatened you. She revealed herself, lost control. That's exactly what we needed. I look at both of them. One more day, then we end this. Chen hesitates, then nods. One more day, but I'm stationing security outside your door. Nobody gets in here without my approval. That night, I lie in the dark and think about justice, about revenge, about the difference between the two. Justice is a courtroom, evidence, verdicts, prison sentences. Revenge is watching them realize too late what they've done, watching their perfect life crumble, watching them face consequences they never saw coming. I want both. And tomorrow, I'm going to get it. Day 6. Dr. Chen does rounds early. Your son called this morning, he tells me. Asked very specific questions about your death certificate, how quickly it could be issued, what information would be included, who would sign it. What did you tell him? That medical examiners have procedures, that everything is documented, that there are no shortcuts. Dr. Chen's jaw tightens. He seemed disappointed. An hour later, Darnell arrives. He's alone. Sienna had a charity meeting, he explains. His face looks drawn, tired. For a moment, I see the boy he used to be, the one who'd crawl into my bed during thunderstorms. Then he opens his mouth. Ma, I need to talk to you about something important. What? Your life insurance policy, the one from the country club. He pulls out papers. Actual papers. I need you to sign an updated beneficiary form, just to make sure everything is current. In case something happens. I stare at those papers, at my son asking me to sign my own death warrant while I'm lying in a hospital bed he put me in. Darnell, I say slowly, do you remember when you were 7 and you got pneumonia? He blinks. What? You were so sick. Fever of 104, couldn't breathe. The clinic doctor said you needed to go to the hospital, but we didn't have insurance. The emergency room bill would have bankrupted us. Ma, I stayed up for 3 days straight. Cold compresses, steam from the shower. I slept on the floor next to your bed so I could check on you every hour. When your fever finally broke, you looked up at me and said, "Thank you for not leaving me, Mama." Darnell's face has gone pale. I would have died for you that night, I continue. I would have traded places with you in a heartbeat. No hesitation, no second thoughts. That's what mothers do. We'd walk through fire for our children. Ma, please just sign. And now you're asking me to sign paperwork so you can collect money when I die. Money you need for a lake house. My voice doesn't shake. Tell me, Darnell, when did you stop being my son? He can't look at me. It's not like that. Then what is it like? You don't understand. Sienna's family, they have expectations. Standards. The house, the lifestyle, it's all part of what? Part of forgetting where you came from? Part of pretending your mother doesn't exist until she's useful for a down payment? That's not fair. Fair. I almost laugh. You called this hospital and faked an emergency to scare me to death. You and your wife planned it like a business transaction. And you want to talk to me about fair? Darnell goes very still. What did you say? I know, baby. I know everything. His face drains of color. You can't. There's no way. Room 347. You walked out healthy. Laughing about a business deal. Sienna asked how I sounded on the phone. You said hook, line, and sinker. You discussed the life insurance policy, the lake house, how the stress would trigger a heart attack. I watch him process this. I heard every word, and it's all recorded. Darnell stumbles backward, grabs the chair for support. Multiple recordings, multiple witnesses, doctors, nurses, security footage. I sit up straighter in bed. Did you really think you'd get away with it? Ma, I can explain. Explain what? How you decided to murder your mother for $50,000? How you married a woman who taught you to see people as transactions? How you threw away 28 years of love for granite countertops? It wasn't supposed to be real. We weren't actually going to, weren't going to what? Kill me? You already did, Darnell. You just didn't use your hands. I point to my chest. You killed something in here. Something I can't get back. The door opens. Detective Maria Rodriguez and Detective James Park enter, badges visible. Behind them, Dr. Chen and Reina. Darnell Whitmore, Detective Rodriguez says. You're under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder, attempted murder, insurance fraud, and elder abuse. Darnell's eyes go wide. Wait, no, this is a misunderstanding. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. They cuff him. My son. In handcuffs, because he tried to kill his own mother. Ma, please, Darnell begs as they lead him toward the door. Tell them it's a mistake. Tell them, I love you, I say. I will always love you, but I will never forgive you. And I will testify against you in court. I will tell everyone exactly what you did. His face crumbles, not with remorse, with the realization that he's been caught. They take him away. 2 hours later, they arrest Sienna at her charity luncheon, in front of all her society friends, in front of the photographers and the social media influencers and everyone who thought she was perfect. Detective Rodriguez tells me later that Sienna screamed the whole time, insisted it was a mistake, threatened lawsuits, dropped her father's name like it was a magic spell. It didn't work. The news breaks that evening. Prominent surgeon arrested for plotting mother's murder. The story spreads like wildfire. By morning, it's national news. My phone, Reina brought me my old phone, got it working again, fills with messages, people I haven't heard from in years, people who'd forgotten I existed. All of them shocked, horrified, supportive. Too little, too late. But that's okay. Because this isn't about them. It's about truth, about justice, about showing the world that mothers aren't disposable, that love isn't weakness, that there are consequences for cruelty. I stay in the hospital for 2 more weeks, not because I'm dying. Turns out the cancer is in remission. Stress-induced immune response, the doctors say. My body fought back harder when it had something real to fight against. Ironic, right? The thing that was supposed to kill me made me stronger. When I'm finally released, Reina drives me home. My house looks smaller than I remember. Emptier, but it's mine. What happens now? Reina asks. Now I live, I say simply. I get stronger, I testify, I make sure they pay for every second of what they did. She hugs me goodbye. Call me if you need anything. Anything at all. I promise I will. Inside, the house is quiet, but not lonely anymore. Because I'm not the same woman who left here 2 weeks ago. That woman was dying, defeated, beaten down by a world that tried to tell her she didn't matter. This woman knows better. I survived cancer. I survived poverty. I survived raising a child alone. I survived betrayal by the person I loved most. And I'm still standing. That's not weakness, that's power. The trial takes 6 months to prepare. The prosecutor, a sharp woman named Alicia Morrison, meets with me weekly. We go over every detail, every recording, every piece of evidence. This is the most clear-cut case I've seen in 20 years, she tells me. They confessed multiple times, discussed the plot openly, made no attempt to hide their intentions once they thought you were dying. Will they go to prison? If there's any justice in this world? Yes. For a long time. The trial itself lasts 3 weeks. I sit in the courtroom every single day. Watch my son in his suit, sitting beside his lawyer. Watch Sienna, perfectly made up, playing the victim. The prosecution presents the recordings, all of them. The jury hears Darnell discuss my death like a real estate transaction. Hears Sienna ask me to die faster. Hears them plan and plot and celebrate. When it's my turn to testify, I walk to that stand with my head high. Mrs. Whitmore, the prosecutor says, can you describe your relationship with your son before he met the defendant? I tell them everything. The sacrifices. The love, the pride, the Sunday dinners, the way he used to hug me tight and say thank you for everything. And after he married the defendant, I describe the isolation, the rejection, the phone call where I begged for help and got nothing but cruelty. When you received the call about your son's accident, what went through your mind? That despite everything, he was still my baby. That I had to get to him. That love doesn't stop just because it's not returned. Some jury members are crying. Darnell's lawyer tries to break me on cross-examination, suggests I misunderstood, misheard, that the recordings are taken out of context. Ma'am, isn't it possible your son and his wife were simply discussing difficult end-of-life decisions? Being practical about inevitable outcomes? Is that what you call plotting to scare someone to death? I look directly at the jury. Practical? The defense rests after 4 days. They have nothing. No credible explanation for the recordings. No way to spin calculated murder as a misunderstanding. The jury deliberates for 3 hours, guilty on all counts. Darnell drops his head into his hands. Sienna sits frozen, her face a mask of disbelief. Sentencing happens 2 weeks later. The judge, an elderly woman with steel gray hair, looks at Darnell with disgust. You took an oath to do no harm, she says. You violated that oath in the most profound way possible. You weaponized your medical knowledge against your own mother, a woman who sacrificed everything for you. She sentences him to 12 years. Sienna gets 10 as they're led away in handcuffs. Darnell looks back at me once. I meet his eyes. Don't look away. This is closure, not forgiveness, not reconciliation, but the end of one story and the beginning of another. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarm, cameras flash, microphones appear in my face. Mrs. Whitmore, how do you feel about the verdict? Relieved, vindicated, sad. Do you forgive your son? I think about that question. Really think about it. I love my son, I say carefully. I will always love the boy he used to be. But forgiveness? That's something he has to earn, not from me, from himself. He has to live with what he did, and that's a harder prison than any sentence. The questions continue, but I'm done. I push through the crowd, find Raina waiting by her car. Ready to go home? She asks. Actually, I say, I have somewhere else to go first. She drives me to the cancer center, the same place where I received my diagnosis, where I started treatment, where I thought my life was ending. Dr. Morrison, my oncologist, greets me with a smile. Cordelia, good to see you. Ready for your checkup? The scan takes an hour, then I'm in her office waiting for results. I have good news, Dr. Morrison says. The cancer is still in remission. Whatever happened these past 6 months, the stress, the immune response, the will to survive, it worked. You're clear. Clear. The word feels impossible. For how long? We'll monitor you closely, but right now, you're cancer-free. I sit there, absorbing this. I survived betrayal. I survived a murder plot. And somehow, impossibly, I survived cancer. What are you going to do now? Dr. Morrison asks. Live, I say, really live. 6 months after the trial, I'm standing in front of a classroom at the cancer center. 15 people sit in front of me, all elderly, all survivors, all dealing with family situations that make them vulnerable. My name is Cordelia Whitmore, I say, and I'm here to teach you how to protect yourselves. I spend the next hour discussing financial elder abuse, warning signs, how to protect assets, who to call, what legal protections exist. The people who hurt us aren't always strangers, I tell them. Sometimes they're the people we love most. Sometimes they're our own children. And that makes it harder to recognize. Harder to fight back, but not impossible. After class, a woman approaches. She's maybe 70, thin, with worried eyes. My daughter keeps asking about my bank accounts, she says quietly. Says she needs to be added to them for emergencies, but something feels wrong. Trust that feeling, I tell her. And let's talk about how to protect yourself. This becomes my purpose. Teaching other elderly people how to recognize abuse, how to fight back, how to survive with dignity intact. Raina helps. She volunteers every Tuesday, sharing the nursing perspective, explaining medical fraud, teaching people how to advocate for themselves in hospitals. Together, we've helped over 100 people, stopped dozens of financial exploitation attempts, connected families with resources, counseling, legal aid. It doesn't erase what happened to me, but it gives it meaning. 1 year after the trial, I receive a letter, prison return address, Darnell's handwriting. I almost throw it away unopened, but curiosity wins. Dear Ma, it begins, I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't expect you to respond, but I need you to know that I'm sorry, genuinely, completely sorry. Not because I got caught, not because I'm in prison, but because I finally understand what I destroyed. The letter continues for 3 pages. He talks about therapy, about recognizing how Sienna had manipulated him, about the shame of looking at himself honestly. You gave me everything, he writes, and I treated you like you were nothing. I can't fix that. I can't take it back. But I can spend the rest of my life trying to become someone worthy of the sacrifices you made. Someone who would make the boy I used to be proud. I read the letter 3 times. Then I fold it carefully and put it in a drawer, and maybe someday I'll respond, maybe not. That's my choice to make. On my timeline. According to my needs. For now, it's enough to know he's finally facing the truth. 2 years after the trial, I'm interviewed for a documentary about elder abuse. They want to feature my story as a case study in fighting back. What would you say to people going through something similar? The interviewer asks. I think carefully. I'd say you're not too old, too sick, or too poor to matter. You're not a burden. You're not disposable. And if someone treats you that way, even someone you love, you have the right to protect yourself. You have the right to fight back. You have the right to survive. And the people who hurt you, what do you want them to know? That quiet people aren't weak people. That patience isn't permission. That just because we love you doesn't mean we'll let you destroy us. I look directly at the camera, Wes. We're stronger than you think, and we're done being silent. The documentary airs 6 months later, goes viral. Suddenly I'm getting calls from talk shows, podcasts, advocacy groups. Everyone wants to hear how a dying woman outsmarted her son and daughter-in-law, how she turned victimization into vindication. I do some interviews, turn down others, stay focused on my classes at the cancer center, on my real work. 3 years after the trial, Raina gets engaged. She asks me to be part of the ceremony. Not a bridesmaid, she has younger friends for that. But something more important. I want you to be my honorary mother, she says, tears in her eyes. To sit in the mother's seat, to be recognized as family. I cry. Happy tears this time. At the wedding, I wear a beautiful dress, new, not thrift store. My hair has grown back from the chemo, silver now instead of dark. I've gained back the weight I lost. I'm healthy, strong. When the officiant says, "Who supports this union?" I stand along with Raina's sister. "I do," I say. My voice carries clear through the chapel, with all my heart. Raina's mother would be proud. I'm honored to stand in that space for her, to give this incredible young woman the maternal love she deserves. 5 years after the trial, I receive another letter from Darnell. He's been attending prison programs, working with a counselor, writing regularly now, even though I rarely respond. "I'm up for parole in 7 years," he writes. "When I get out, I don't expect us to have a relationship, but I want you to know that every day in here, I think about who I was and who I want to become. I think about the mother who sacrificed everything, and I try to be worthy of that sacrifice, even if it's too late." I don't write back, but I don't throw the letter away either. Forgiveness isn't required. It's not owed. It's not a gift I have to give just because someone asks for it. But I can acknowledge his efforts without absolving his actions. I can recognize his growth without accepting him back into my life. That's healthy. That's boundaries. That's choosing myself. 7 years after the trial, I'm sitting in my living room. It's furnished now. Real furniture, not secondhand. My cancer remains in remission. I'm 74 years old and healthier than I've been in decades. Raina visits every Sunday with her husband. Sometimes they bring their baby daughter, my honorary granddaughter. I teach her patty cake and read her stories and watch her grow. This is family now. Not blood, but choice. People who love me not because they have to, but because they want to. People who value me, respect me, see me. My phone rings. Unknown number. "Mrs. Whitmore, this is the parole board. Your son Darnell is eligible for early release. We'd like your input on whether—" No, I say calmly. I don't support early release. He was sentenced to 12 years. He should serve 12 years. Consequences matter. Silence on the other end. "Are you certain? He's completed all the programs, shown remorse." "I'm certain. Thank you for asking." I hang up. Some people might call me hard, unforgiving, cold. I call it self-preservation. 10 years after the trial, I'm 80 years old, still teaching classes, still volunteering, still telling my story to anyone who needs to hear it. Darnell gets released from prison. He writes to tell me he's living in a halfway house, working as a medical billing clerk, can't practice medicine anymore, lost his license, going to therapy 3 times a week. "I don't expect anything from you," his letter says. "But if you ever want to talk, I'm here. And if you don't, I understand that too. You don't owe me anything. You never did." I think about this, really think about it. Then I write back, just one line. "I'm glad you're safe. I hope you find peace. But I'm not ready for more than that." It's honest, it's boundaried, it's enough. Because here's what I've learned in these 10 years. Healing doesn't require reconciliation. Growth doesn't erase consequences. And loving someone doesn't mean letting them back into your life. I survived because I chose myself, because I fought back, because I refused to die quietly for someone else's convenience. And that's a lesson worth sharing. If you've ever been treated like you're invisible, called worthless, or had to fight for what's yours, you still have power. If you've ever sacrificed everything for someone who threw it back in your face, your worth was never in their hands. To anyone fighting their own battle right now, your comeback is already being written. Stay quiet, stay sharp, and let your actions speak. What lesson hit you hardest from this story? And if you were in my shoes, what would you have done? Don't stop here. Click the next video on your screen right now and watch another story from our channel. Hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and share your thoughts in the comments below. See you in the next one.